welcome back. I have kind of a fun adventure today that I wanted to just kind of do as a bit of an experiment. I had been taking a lot of book recommendations off of other booktubers and things, and as part of that, I was searching in my library trying to find these books, and then I came up with a bunch that had a similar title, and so that's what today's project is. The one that I was specifically looking for was The Hidden Girl and Other Stories by Kevin Liu. I don't remember who recommended it, but someone did, and I was like, ooh, that sounds fun. So I looked up The Hidden Girl on my library site, and then up came this The Hidden Girl and this Hidden Girl as well. So that was my project, and then I decided to go for it. I was like, oh, these all sound interesting. So that's what I did, and I have now read 3 versions of Hidden Girl. I think there might even be more, so I might do like another round of this, or find another title that has a bunch of books with the same title and do it that way. But for this one, that's what we've got, is 3 books to talk about. First off, I want to talk about The Hidden Girl, a true story of the Holocaust, because this is the first one I read. It's very, very short. It was definitely like styled as like a kid's book. It doesn't go into a lot of the dark stuff in the Holocaust. It does obviously talk about her experiences being a hidden child in the Holocaust, but her experience was more that she lived in a ghetto for a while, and then she was hiding with families, and that was her hidden girl aspect of the story. She wasn't like some cases in the Holocaust, or I guess the majority of cases probably in the Holocaust, where they end up in like the concentration camps and things, which actually is the majority of Holocaust stories that I've ever read and like encountered, whether fiction or nonfiction. So it was a really interesting change of pace in that way, that she never had to go to a concentration camp, but she was just in hiding. The first round of it, she went to a family where she was just hidden in a back room, basically couldn't come out when people were visiting, things that just generally make sense when you're hiding someone. But then from that family, because the father of that family decided that he was going to turn her in, so from there she ended up in a different household because the mom was kind and it took her to a friend to hide her away, or maybe it was her sister. Anyway, she took her to another family to hide away. And in that one, she lived in a hole in a farm floor for over like 9 months, and was in there with another family, and the hole was small enough that they couldn't even like stand up in it, and it just sounded awful, which I mean I was not expecting a happy-go-lucky story in a lot of ways, since it's about the Holocaust. Obviously you expect a little bit of a cheerful ending because obviously they survived, and so now they're coping and working through all of that. But it was interesting to see how it affected her, because she talked a little bit about her life after too, and the silence she felt, and how long it took for her to be able to talk about it with people, and finally finding other hidden children from the Holocaust, and that being what helped her to open up and want to like write this book and stuff. And yeah, it was beautiful and sad, and again, kind of a different perspective from a lot of the Holocaust narratives that I've encountered, at least. So I really enjoyed it for that, but it was also a very sad one. So then, as I was looking through what I had remaining, I had The Hidden Girl, which is it had subtitled The True Story of a Modern Child Slave, or The Hidden Girl and Other Stories. And I was like, a short story sounds like a welcome relief after reading about the Holocaust. So next I went with The Hidden Girl and other short stories. Other than that, I only read The Hidden Girl short story in this, because the challenge that I was making for myself was to be reading the titled stuff of The Hidden Girl. So I'm sure the other stories are interesting and good, but my focus was just on The Hidden Girl short story in this one. And then this one still kind of tied in some of the themes, because the Hidden Girl short story in this one, it takes place in kind of a mythical sort of Chinese, I'm assuming, setting. I don't for sure know where the author is from, but it's definitely like an Asian type setting. And the main character in it is the daughter of like a governor, and she ends up getting kidnapped and being trained to be like a magical assassin and stuff. So that's kind of how she's hidden away. She's in this like magical training land doing all that. It was a really cool little short story. I really enjoyed it overall. And it was definitely what I wanted, and that it was like a welcome relief and a break from what I'd just gone through reading the Holocaust book. And it was fun to kind of see how the magical assassin of the story was set up. And I liked the overall theme of the short story, that she was stolen from her life, but then she eventually, through the events in the story, steals her life back for herself, which was really cool, and I really enjoyed that. I do want to read more of his short stories after reading that, so success that way too. But yeah, so it was just a good quick little read to freshen myself up for this final one, which, again, true story of a modern slave girl. So, our girl here was born in Egypt, had at least 11 siblings, and ended up being sold into slavery, which you would probably guess from the title, I guess. But so the whole situation with her family was that in Egypt in particular, selling your children into slavery is just kind of a common thing, and one of her sisters had been sold off to a family and was working for pittance pay that got sent back to her family, but then that sister stole from the family that she was working for, and they're like, we're not working with her anymore, and they sent her away. And then Shemia, I don't know for sure how you say her name, but she went with her mother to that family and ended up getting sold to them to be kind of the replacement and to repay the honor and stuff that her sister had like devalued the family of because of having stole from that family and whatnot. And oh boy. So this book, so sad. So she gets sold into that slavery in that family, and then that family that she's working for, a slave for, however I guess to phrase that, ends up moving to the United States because the father has gotten into some trouble in Egypt, and so they have to move, and they end up in the U.S. And then she's in the U.S. for, I think, like a year and a half, still as a slave. They hide her away, make her live in the garage. She works basically like 20-hour days doing all their laundry and their cleaning, and she works through being sick and all kinds of things, basically has no life beyond that service to that family. And it was just awful and heartbreaking, and I'm so sad that this happens to people. And she talks about the statistics of the number of people that are still like slaves in the United States even, and it was just like mind-boggling that this could be happening like under our noses. And she talks in the end about things to look for, and so if you're suspicious, how to kind of contact the authorities and things and stuff too. And I hope, like she does and how she talks about, that we can end the slavery and stuff. It was kind of special in its way too, because her dream is to become either like a police officer or an ICE agent and help other people get out of slavery and stuff. And I thought that was the most beautiful dream, and I hope that she can achieve it. And I don't know, it was really good. This one I would put at least like a middle grade level, because of some of the topics that it deals with and how in-depth some of the experiences it talks about are. But I do think it would be good with a young audience to discuss, especially to be like, hey, you don't always know what's going on in people's lives. You don't know necessarily why someone is like coming to school dressed poorly or seeming very unsocial and things, because they maybe have been in a situation like this where they've just been rescued from slavery. Or, I mean, foster care and things have other situations that can come into it too, but I think that it would be a good way to help kids see other perspectives beyond what they were born into and things. And so I think this would be a really good teaching book if you're trying to help kids gain perspective and stuff too. But yeah, so that's kind of my thoughts on those 3 books. So the ultimate question then is, I'm putting basically as the title of the video and whatnot, do I like books with the same title? In this case, yes. I liked all of them. they were definitely some heavy topics, so maybe next time if I find books with a similar title, I would want to go a little more like fantasy setting or something. But it was cool to be reading like this nonfiction and feel like I was being educated in some of it and stuff too. And I found a new author that I want to read more short stories of, so that's great and exciting. I would recommend all of them, obviously with some caveats of the maturity level for like the Holocaust and the slavery stuff. But it was all very good, and I definitely recommend it. Yeah, let me know if you've ever tried this where you're just like searching for a book in your library site and then you're like, oh, look at all these other ones that have the same title. Let's try reading some more of them. If you've ever done anything like that, let me know. If you have title suggestions for other times that I can do this challenge, that would be really fun too. But yeah, just let me know down below. I think that's all I've got for now. This is the Umlaut Harper signing out.